Hello and welcome back to another predictions video where today I'm going to be predicting the scores of Game Week 2 and Game Week 3 of this 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make a video just before game round 3 as I'm otherwise engaged. Maybe I'll be in Qatar, you never know. But currently recording this on Wednesday evening as the Belgium versus Canada match is taking place and is currently 0-0. Before I do get on to game weeks 2 and 3 predictions, top of the leaderboard at the moment on 14 points is H. Troy, closely followed by the full 90. All to play for, lots of games to look forward to, 32 matches for me to predict, so I am going to breeze through these ones really quickly and make sure you leave your predictions over at the Super Brew website as well. Link in the description and the code is there as well. So without further ado, let's dive straight into it, where Wales take on Iran on Friday morning at 10 o'clock. Wales, terrible first half against England, better second half, and Iran just all over the shop in their defeat against England, where they lost to 6-2. So I think Wales will bounce back with a couple of goals, and I can see them winning this game 2-0. Then we move on to Group A, where Qatar take on Senegal. Qatar terrible. Senegal, okay, they lost, but I fully expect them to win this match 1-0. Then we move on to Netherlands against Ecuador. Ecuador with a very good victory against Qatar, the hosts, 2-0, and the Netherlands as well. They beat Senegal 2-0. So I think Netherlands will continue their winning ways, and I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 victory. Then we move on to England against USA. I think this will be a lot closer than England's previous match. However, I do fully expect them to win 2-0. Then we move on to Tunisia against Australia. Australia losing their previous match against France, where they were actually leading in that match, and Tunisia drew 0-0 with Denmark, which was a very good score, and I fully expect Tunisia to win this match, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 scoreline. Then on Saturday at 1 o'clock we've got Poland against Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, of course, gaining that famous victory against Argentina, and in this match I think they will hold Poland, who drew their opening fixture against Mexico 0-0. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Then we move on to the 4 o'clock kickoff between France and Denmark. And okay, Denmark, they drew their opening fixture 0-0 against Tunisia, and I fully expect them to be very defensive in this match, but I do see France winning this one 1-0, which will put them on 6 points and through to the round of 16. Argentina against Mexico. I fully expect Argentina to bounce back against a good Mexican team who drew 0-0 with Poland, but I think Argentina will take 3 points and gain a victory 2-1. Then we move on to Sunday at 10 a.m. We've got Japan against Costa Rica. Costa Rica absolutely getting flounced 7-0 by Spain, and Japan coming back against Germany to win 2-1. So I think the Japanese will win this one 2-0. Then we move on to the 1 o'clock fixture on Sunday, which sees Belgium take on Morocco, and Belgium currently playing at the moment. Morocco, a good draw against Croatia. I think Belgium will win this fixture 1-0. Then we move on to 4 o'clock on Sunday, the 27th, where Croatia take on Canada, and I fancy Canada to get a point in this one against Croatia, who drew their opening match against Morocco, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 scoreline. They've got Spain coming up against Germany. Spain, of course, winning 7-0 against Costa Rica, and Germany, as we said, losing against Japan after taking the lead. I think Spain are going to take all 3 points in a narrow 2-1 victory. Then we've got Cameroon coming up against Serbia. I think Serbia, haven't seen them play yet at the time of recording, but I think they will beat Cameroon 1-0. Then we move on to South Korea against Ghana. I think this will be a high-scoring affair, and I can see Desmond's in this one 2-2. They've got Brazil coming up against Switzerland. Now, Switzerland defensively fairly good, but I can't see them scoring against this Brazilian team, and I'm going to go for a straightforward 2-0 victory to Brazil. And the final fixture of game week 1 sees Portugal take on Uruguay. I think it'll be a close fixture between the Europeans against the South Americans. I can see Portugal winning this one narrowly 2-1. So that concludes game week 2. We now move on to game week 3. If I can get it up on the screen. And these matches take place between 29th of November and the 2nd of December, where Ecuador take on Senegal, and I believe that Ecuador are going to come away with a narrow victory 2-1, which will see them in the round of 16, and Senegal, I think they'll be going home. Then we've got Netherlands against Qatar. Qatar, as we say, look terrible, and I fully expect the Netherlands to win this one 3-0. Then we've got Iran coming up against USA. I think this one's going to be a close match, even though Iran looked terrible against England, but coming up against USA, they're going to want to gain some sort of positive result against them, but I think the States will come away with all 3 points and win 1-0. Then we've got Wales coming up against England, the all-British affair. England should be in the round of 16 at this stage, and Wales may need a point in this game, and I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw. Probably a little bit of wishful thinking on my end, that one. Then we've got Australia coming up against Denmark. I think Denmark, wily old characters, aren't they? Australia look quite good going forward, but I'm going to go for a 1-0 away victory to Denmark. Then we've got Tunisia coming up against France. France should already be through at this stage, but I think France still will be too strong for the Tunisian 11, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory. Then we've got Poland coming up against Argentina. Another tight one here. I think Poland will score against this Argentinian defence, even though they've been very, very good in the qualifying rounds in South America, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to the Argentines. And then we've got Saudi Arabia coming up against Mexico. Saudi Arabia, of course, they did gain that marvellous victory against Argentina. This one's a tricky one to call, and I'm going to go for a narrow 1-0 victory to Mexico. Then we've got Canada coming up against Morocco. I think the spoils will be shared in this one 1-1. Then we've got on Thursday next week, we've got Croatia against Belgium. Another tight one to call, but I think the quality in those Belgian ranks will see them win this one 2-1. Then on Thursday also at 7 o'clock in the evening, Costa Rica against Germany. This should be a straightforward victory to the Germans. I can see them winning this one 3-0. Then we've got Japan against Spain. Japan look really good. Spain look fantastic. I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 victory to Spain. Then on Friday at 3 o'clock, Ghana against Uruguay. Another tough one to predict, and I think I'm going to sit on the fence with this match, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Then the next match, we've got South Korea coming up against Portugal. I think South Korea will give Portugal a really good game in this one. I'm going to go for another draw in this one, 1-1. Then we've got Cameroon coming up against Brazil. Brazil shouldn't have too many problems coming up against Cameroon. I can see them winning 3-0. And the final fixture of game around 3 sees Serbia coming up against Switzerland, and I think that Swiss defence, the likes of Xhaka in midfield, will gain a 1-0 victory against Serbia, and we will not see Mitrovic score in that fixture. So that concludes my predictions for game week 2 and game week 3 of this Qatar group stage. Make sure you leave your predictions, as I've already said, over at the Super Brew website, link in the description, and the league code as well. Hope you're all enjoying the World Cup so far. I know I am. Some really good results for a couple of the minnows, as in Saudi Arabia and Japan. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you all in the next video, where I'll be predicting the scores for the round of 16.